Welcome to VISCERAMA's virtual reading and open mic. Yeah, we will be reading stuff from our first issue, Michigan X, and some newer stuff. We are doing like the staff reading at the beginning and then opening it up for people who signed up for open mic, and we'll have some space at the end too for people, like any last minute performers who didn't sign up. Yeah, so housekeeping stuff, probably have yourself muted. Save applause for the end of each performer's performance if you want to I don't know, clap like in the middle of it. There's or like between poems, there's the reactions that you can do, the clap reaction.
Yeah, the reactions and stuff. That way we're not kind of over talking each other, and that way the poet can kind of.
Nadia, there we go.
Yeah.
Matt, there we go. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for showing up. We got Gabe's here. Happy birthday to Gabe.
Happy birthday, Gabe. Happy birthday. Congratulations.
So the order that we got going is first we'll have Jesse read, and then Inocencia, Nadia, and myself. And then first for open mic will be my little brother, Santa. And then we have Alisia coming in after that. But yeah, let's get started.
Cool.
Oh, and also, just real quick announcements that things that VISCERAMA is doing. We are open for submissions right now for art and words from Lenawee County youth. Spread the word. Also, you can still purchase our first issue, Michigan X, on our website, VISCERAMA.com. Follow us on all the socials for more updates on events like this. And without further ado, one of our co-editors, Jesse Ramirez.
Hey y'all. So I'm gonna be reading some poems, like we said, from our first issue, some other stuff, and then also we're starting off each of our performances with a poem from like a Black or queer poet. So mine is from Terrence Hayes, from American Sonnet, for my past and future assassin. It was discovered the best way to combat sadness was to make your sadness a door, or make it an envelope of wireless chatter or wires pulled from the radio tape recorder your mother bought for you Christmas 1984. If you think a hammer is the only way to hammer a nail, you ain't thought of the nail correctly. My problem was I decided to make myself a poem. It made me sweat in private selfishly. It made me bleed, bleep, and weep for help. As a poem, I could show my children the man I dreamed I was. My father and mother, my half-brothers, the lovers I lost. Just mourning as a poem, I asked myself if I was going to weep today. Cool. And now for my poetry, I'm starting off with Orange, which was part of the first issue. This kingdom is to be burnt spick. Hold your head high, or they'll have it bouncing off their horse's ass. Break my leg and shoot me, pilgrim. I speak your language and I dance at your parties, casually stepping on my own feet. Twitter told me that a generation is being pickpocketed. Yesterday doesn't feel distant enough, yet you have forgot it instead of forgetting to breathe. Separate your emotions from your job, separate your dick from your brain, or alternatively, separate a mother from her child. Things are much better, but I'm stuck in a Nicolas Cage. Is this good? Is this bad? Is this being in the moment or momentarily losing my attention? My mother calls me for dinner. I eat your words. Your diction skids past my esophagus and plummets to my toes until I lose balance. My head crashes and I hear a voice outside my mother's body. That monkey is not my grandson, her father. 2 decades later, and he has learned to love me, a torturous experience, I'm sure. My father's father and I have different tongues, but the same skin. I will never remember what he looks like, but I'm sure his appearance has the power to charm hatred just like mine. An heirloom. Okay, this next poem is also in the first issue, called My Skin. Caught on barbed wire, lightens with snow, breaks from words, darkens after my birthday. Spring baby, reach a new height and then jump. My trampoline is a drag of green and an action scene, except at the end, John Wayne lays with an arrow through his head. All right, and this one is actually not in the magazine. It's a sestina called Weed, W-E apostrophe D, not the. Okay. Fingers pressed onto sanity. You wonder if he'll pass, never blink or salivate when he's high. Phone calls lost in traffic like pennies or how he used to try playing tic-tac-toe on his palms back until it would bleed. Off the nails he tried to bite completely, it began to fall. Like ash in a substitute blunt and ate past midnight. But his watch was broken. So maybe it never reached midnight. Maybe midnight is only a feeling. Lift your mouth corners so it'll pass. With the same feeling as disjointed miracles left on doorsteps in the middle of fall, look at the moon, as if nothing really exists that high. Put that feeling to good use. Burnt pages where rookie pens bleed, eyes reciting lullabies, yet he stayed awake no matter how hard he would try. You keep wishing on candles and 11/11s because it never hurts to try. It seemed he tried to hurt you, cut you down the middle like midnight, freeing his mind at noon. By 2:30, you would smell his lungs bleed, raise him up above his past tendencies to puff past endlessly, find beginnings in knee-imprinted potholes, high above his thoughts of you. Rise, 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 not thinking of the fall. Call to him. Crow of opportunity, broken wings and high winds, but fight the fall into death-coated futures. What's the outcome without his will to try? Ingest, digest, 5 breaths and he's still not high enough. You see the danger, disguise, excitement, eyes full of midnight. See a timer with no ending, perhaps it'll never pass. How long will it last, he likes to ask, and illumination begins to bleed. The moon doesn't thank you when you fix its craters, it just bleeds into tomorrow. So don't feel guilty if you pray it just falls out of the sky. It's only a phase, only temporary, it just passes, like acne. Tell yourself the moon will never be the sun, it just tries. To light your hand onto the knife, he says you're crazy. You say it's just midnight's way of showing your exhaustion's control. The clock's hand pointing to forever, it's just high. The floor is stained red, let us paint a picture that leaves their anxiety high. Hi, nice to meet you. Count back from 10 as you begin to bleed. Stay in the same position with me, and if they don't find us by midnight, maybe we'll just be lost forever. Journey into a fall with no safety net, safely except daisies and uncut grass. Do not try to angle some way out. You let go of those feelings he said would never pass. And now we're high, and he's nowhere but everywhere. Couldn't handle a little fall. Bleed with me, rolled up sleeves, rolled up eyelids, exposing rolled back eyes. Let's just try to be simple, at least till midnight, and then maybe all of this will just pass. And the last one is actually from a zine that me and my cousin were making, so it doesn't really have the title, but if it was a piece, it would have a title. We'll just call it Bus Stop Blues. Bus Stop Blues. Broken, the old man and I, scarred, the old man and I, look around to the heat holders, the meat lockers, lost faces struggle just like us. I pray the old man's promises hold. I pray that I see your face again. I pray for the others on the bus. This part is called Unanswered. I believe hell had seeped into the soil decades ago, centuries ago, and now we must endure. Try not to burn when the fire reaches our doorstep, fall forward. Forward falling fools, walking on kneecaps, painting with memories, disowning tomorrows. I follow the old man up the mountain. The flower is close, girl. He looks back to show his teeth and I nod. This part is called Flower. I know you are. I know what you are, but when you ask me, I don't. Chained to this mysterious path we traverse, my feet tense in the present tense. I pick you from the mountain surface, careful not to let the wind force you upon another missing soul. I know what you are, but when you ask me, I don't. We ingest the flower's fumes and the world slips to black. I see demons with speech impediments, miming their dreams and nightmares, morphing into me morphing into them. I wish to scream but cannot find the mouth. The old man had manifested into my spine, his voice and my brain. Take my hand, take my hands. Cool. Thank you guys for listening. And Hey. Next up, I should introduce the next person, right? Yeah. Next up, Inocencia is going to be performing some poetry. So, poetry? Yeah. Cool.
All right. Hello, guys. All right, so the first poem that I'm going to be reading is by James Baldwin, who, if you guys do know about him, you probably know that he is Black, but you may not know that he's gay, which I did not learn when my college taught me about him. Yeah, so this is by James Baldwin, and it's called The Giver for Berdice. If the hope of giving is to give the living. I'm going to start that over, because I already messed up. All right. The Giver for Berdice. If the hope of giving is to love the living, the giver risks madness in the act of giving. Some such lesson I seemed to see in the faces that surrounded me. Needy and blind, unhopeful, unlifted, what gift would give them the gift to be gifted? The giver is no less adrift than those who are clamoring for the gift. If they cannot claim it, if it is not there, if their empty fingers beat the empty air, and the giver goes down on his knees in prayer, knows that all of his giving has been for naught, and that nothing has ever been what he thought, and turns in his guilty bed to stare at the starving multitude standing there, and rises from bed to curse at heaven. He must yet understand that to whom much is given, much will be taken, and justly so. I cannot tell how much I owe. All right, so that's by James Baldwin. Okay, all right. Tonta is a Spanish word for silly or stupid, and this poem is called Karmic Sonnet. Hey Tonta, I saw that boy, you know, that one pale kid following you home, and how he called your accent spicy, overjoyed, him grabbing your ass, sweaty hands reaching. Maybe white people are always calling Latinas spicy because, you know, white food, or maybe it's because what else are women for but to be devoured? Your body is for our holy consumption. Turned indigenous to savage and sin, 5 centuries of slaughters, blood, and rape. Sit down, stupid. Being mad doesn't solve anything. Silly, small, hurt feelings now. Still, imagine. Hispanic girl, 19, charged, left her assaulter cold on the ground. All right. The next one is one from college, but I recently just spruced it up a little bit. It's about how marginalized kids can often feel invisible. It's called We Don't Talk About You. The kids sneak out to walk a single-filed alleluia. Crushed beer bottles stain the street, all its moonlight grabbing. I've never told anyone this before. Ground still warm from hours of Midwestern, non-specific, muggy summer sun. All its absent attention. Lying at the feet of YMCA, backs pressed through Goodwill flannels to parking lot puddles. Practicing smoke rings on candy cigs. The world dusts itself off just to be swept away. And Jimmy Fallon won't mention it. That's my last line. Thanks, guys. And the next one will be Elena? Nadia. Nadia. The next one is Nadia.
So I just realized when you read that last piece that I also have a poem in here that talks about candy cigarettes, which reminds me that we wanted to name VISCERAMA initially. One of the options was Candy Cig Quarterly. So that's our spirit name of VISCERAMA. The spirit of Candy Cig Quarterly still lives on. Yeah, okay, so I am going to start by reading with a poem from Denez Smith, his new book, Homie, or their new book. And yeah, we wanted to use the space of this reading to represent and uplift Black and/or queer voices in the spirit of the current movement and also Pride Month. So yeah, that's why each of us have been featuring a poem from a Black and/or queer artist. Yeah, so I'm going to be reading What Was Said at the Bus Stop by Denez Smith. Lately has been a long time, says the girl from Pakistan, Lahore to be specific. At the bus stop, when the white man asks her where she's from, and then says, "Oh, you from Lahore? It's pretty bad over there lately." Lately has been a long time, she says, and we look at each other, and the look says, yes, I too wish dude would stop asking us about where we from. But on the other side of our side eyes is maybe a hand where hands do no good, a look to say, yes, I know lately has been a long time for your people too. And I'm sorry the world is so good at making us feel like we have to fight for space, to fight for our lives. Solidarity is a word. A lot of people say it. I'm not sure what it means in the flesh. I know I love and have cried for my friends. Their brown's a different brown than mine. I've danced their dances when taught and tasted how their mothers miracle the rice, different than mine. I know sometimes I can't see beyond my own pain, past black and white, how bullets love any flesh. I know it's foolish to compare. What advice do the drowned have for the burned? What gossip is there between the hanged and the buried? And I want to reach across our great distance, that is sometimes an ocean and sometimes centimeters, and say, look, your people, my people, all that has happened to us, and still make love under rusted moons, still pull children from the mothers and name them, still teach them to dance, and your pain is not mine, and is no less, and is mine, and I pray to God, your God, blesses you with mercy, and I have tasted your food, and understand how it is a good home, and I don't know your language, but I understand your songs, and I cried when they came for your uncles, and when you buried your niece, I wanted the world to burn in the child's brief memory, and still, and I have stood by you in the soft shawl of mourning, waiting and breathing and waiting. Okay, so I'm gonna get started with my pieces. I just put this this list of poems together like right before. Yeah, I'm going to start with the poem that actually ends off VISCERAMA, our first issue. It's called Ode to the Chola. It's also in the latest installment of the Breakbeat Poets anthology series. If you guys want to check that out, also self-promotion. Okay, so this poem is called Ode to the Chola. You wear attitude on your brown-lined lips, spitting fuck you out to the universe, not owing it anything but rolled eyes and a sly smile. You know something that no one else does. You hold the weight of expectations on your earlobes, those gold hoops glittering like halos above a slicked-back ponytail. You look at the mirror like canvas, and you, it's art. Should be doesn't exist here in the fabric of the chola. No, be more like, no, be less like, just the steady beat of a bass-heavy song of Tu corazón, I am, I am, I am. All right. And this next one I have is called Liquor Store Bop. Just to like clarify what the bop form is, it's 8 lines, a refrain, usually from a song. So this poem is after Diddy Bop by No Name. It contains a refrain from one of her songs. Yeah, Liquor Store Bop. Down the street from the first home I knew, the liquor store was called Diana's. The man behind the counter let me take whatever candy caught my eye, staining fingers saccharine blue and staining my mother happy, so I called it Mike's instead. Far from the filled cases of bottles, the empty streets of Adrian, across an ocean, was Mike's grandmother who shared my name. I fall asleep dreaming about all the places I could go. Over railroad tracks that split our neighborhood called Sunnyside, the liquor store bore a sign that spelled Sunshine Market, now bullet-riddled and boarded up. After sticky summer walks, we used to pay for boxes of candy cigarettes with change from our mother's purses, burning the chalky white ends black and blistering with a stolen lighter, and sitting in the middle of the street, waiting to hear the concrete rumble beneath us. I fall asleep dreaming about all the places I could go. 2 blocks away from a place I can't yet bring myself to call home, I walk to the liquor store that never locks its doors. On cold nights, I fill a coffee cup and pay with crumpled dollar bills. On summer days, we filter in a group of not yet adults, not quite kids, drinking neon slush from flimsy cups. The bright-eyed man behind the counter always calls me by name, asking me where I've been. I fall asleep dreaming about all of the places I could go. All right, and this next one is a bit longer. It's called La Madre Tierra. It's for my great-grandmother and my grandfather. Interspersed in this poems are bits from a speech that Lyndon B. Johnson made at Southwest Texas State College upon signing the Higher Education Act of 1965. You'll probably be able to tell like where those quotes are because the tone is a lot different. It's weird reading things out loud that are meant for reading on the page. So, yeah. The Spanish named the land, and the land named us. We grew from the dirt in Michoacan and later sowed seeds in Texas. These hands have always belonged to the soil, born calloused, cultivated. Wings sprouted from Angelita's back, and she carried us to the north, lifting us from our roots. He came here and looked over my credentials and somehow or other offered me a job at $125 a month to teach a Mexican school at Catula when I was a sophomore, and it was necessary that I leave that year to teach. She cleaned the house of a man named Johnson during the time it took to plant and harvest life inside her. At home, Angelita fed her children tortillas from floured hands, and at school, the man named Johnson fed them English. Santos learned the letters, how to piece them together, but the fields called to him, and there he buried his hopes. I shall never forget the faces of the boys and girls in that little Wellhausen Mexican school, and I remember yet the pain of realizing and knowing that the college was closed to practically every one of those children because they were too poor. Each generation led us farther north. The sun became distant, an old lover. We left the fields that once fed us, shed cracked and calloused skin. Santos found a home in new fields, grew his own children, but they never knew the soil like he did. He kept his hands brown and buried so his children could learn, so they could lift themselves from dirt. Sometimes I wondered what the next day would bring that could exceed the hardship of the day before. But with all of that, I was one of the lucky ones, and I knew it even then. On our backs, we carry the name we were given, picked off its winding stem to remind ourselves of the land it grew from. Before he cycles back to the earth, Santos promises to see the fruits of his labor, his grandchildren crossing a stage into new territory, far from where Angelita resettled their roots. But each year, the crops grow farther from the dirt and closer to the sun, closer to the sky, reaching for the sun. And I think it was then that I made up my mind that this nation could never rest while the door to knowledge remained closed. So here, today, back on the campus of my youth, that door is swinging open far wider than it ever did before. The rest is up to you. Okay, and I think I just have two more that are both pretty short. Yeah, this next one is a bit more lighthearted than the previous ones. Okay, it's called Manifesting an Alternate Universe in Which My Brain Functions the Way It's Supposed to. Repeat after me. Today, I will not make my friends worry. I will not recite the words thank you in every inflection until I become too overwhelmed to say anything at all. I will not leave this bus until I give thanks to its driver. Today, my body will not be swept away in an avalanche of clothes, making mountains in the corner of my bedroom. May my laundry basket never be overflowing on Mondays. May my Google Doc never be empty on Sundays. Today, I will not let my phone ring and ring and ring and go to voicemail. I'll never let my inbox become a flood of water that I can't wade through. The birds will not make a tangled nest in the hair at the back of my head. I will not cry in the decorative pillow aisle at Target. Repeat after me. I will not cry in the decorative pillow aisle at Target. I won't let myself unravel. No, not here, not today. Today, I will not make my friends worry. Okay, and this is my last piece. It's called Starbirth. The emptied street crackles with leftover lights in its fissures. Bare feet swirl around a dull orange street lamp, like interstellar dust circles a slowly forming star. We spin until our knees shake and collapse, crumpled leaves from exhausted trees. Black tar and soft voices snake across the pavement, say something you've never spoken aloud. The sound of sirens is a red pincushion threaded with the fear of someone else's pain. We know what helplessness tastes like. Hushed whispers in the kitchen over a table decorated with shut-off notices and dead flowers. The taste slides up our throats, but we swallow it down as streetlights soften all of the harsh edges. Clouds of crumbling concrete spiral around us. We form our own stars here. That's all. Thank you. Sorry, Nana. Our last reader for our reading before our open mic starts is Nana.
Hey, what's poppin'? Yeah, so I want to open with Forward from Moonlight by Frank Ocean. In the southeast, in our youth, I saw streetlights and taillights and lighters light spoons and guns alight, but there was no moonlight. When my mother lit the stove pilot with a match, when we let Mr. Joseph the wino live in our back shed, I sat on the stairs and spoke to him. That little light that made it through the doorway from the kitchen lit his face as he told me stories about when he used to sleep with no cover from the moon. Talking to him, I learned that the moon had no light of its own, that all its light came from the sun. Before I left the house to walk to the gas station, I wrapped my head with a silky rag to set my waves. On the walk, I imagined one day they would shine like the sea under moonlight. I knocked on your door on the way back, and you answered it without a shirt, and turned your back on me, and I shoved you for leaving me hanging, but we were too familiar for greetings. We were too familiar for so many words, and I slept over. On a late Saturday morning, when the languor fell away, we ran out into sunlight. It beamed on the targets on our brown backs. Midway through a game, I wanted to see you from the sidelines, so I took a seat and followed the lines your body made under floodlights. In my car, the gauges and incandescent bulbs turned us different shades of blue. When we arrived, we paid to stare off into silver screens, and they wouldn't shine any light on our situation. And for so long, it was like we didn't exist. Okay. So the first poem that I'm gonna read of my own is called In the Produce Aisle, A Woman Tells Me to Go Back to Mexico and I. It's in our first issue. It's like a multiple choice, kind of like choose your own adventure thing. It looks like that. Okay. So, in the produce aisle, a woman tells me to go back to Mexico, and I, A, ask her to repeat herself. She says, I said you're a total smoke show. I blush and give her my number. We go out for drinks. She ghosts me. B, ask her to repeat herself. She says, I said to go back to Mexico. I thank her for her patience, explain that my hearing is bad. She says, you can't help it. C, say I've never been to Mexico, and she recommends this resort in Cancun, says it's gorgeous this time of year. D, pull out my laptop to apply for Mexican citizenship, only to find out they don't want me either. E, sit and discuss her emotionally unavailable mother and messy divorce. Turns out she's a total Monica, and I'm such a Phoebe that she invites me to her crocheting club. F, knock out the bitch's lights and become a crazy Latina meme on Facebook, a debate on Reddit, and a bullet point in the next shooter's manifesto. Okay. The next one is called Piojosa. Piojosa means like a girl with lice. So yeah. So Piojosa. My abuelito says you aren't really Mexican American until you've had piojos. My mother says you aren't really Mexican American until you can't get rid of piojos. It's hard to forget the sound of a louse, exoskeleton cracking between your thumbnails and gushing its blood / your blood over your palm. You aren't until you bake and melt the synthetic fibers of your favorite sweaters in the dryer, or sleep with a scalp smothered in mayonnaise and olive oil and vinegar, or until you can't tell if you are killing the pests or marinating them to perfection. You aren't really Mexican American until you've given up and love the beast that's sucking you dry. My next piece is called In My Country. This is based off of a quote from Sofia Vergara that said, like, I'm bipolar, all the women are, in the country that I'm from, it's better that way. This poem was, I think, like last week on electric literature. So, in my country, the streets are paved in gold, plated hoops taken out, tossed aside the night before. The sea shimmers like glass, shattered out of windshields. Here, acrylics only come stilettoed. Here, mamacitas only come mercurial. In my country, there is no night without 1,000 slashed tires, and there is no morning without deflated women asking you to fill them. Where I'm from, we have no need for sun or moon because women are always burning some cabron's shit in backyard bonfires. The women are always burning and begging to be held. But don't all white boys have a bit of a pyromaniac streak? And don't we make you feel brave? And don't you think it's better that way? Thank you. This one is called Baby's First Panic Attack. I was 15 when I first said goodbye to this world, then found myself lying naked on the cardiologist's table. 15 when my mother saw my breasts, slathered in ultrasound blue goo and mourned my innocence. When I was high for the first time. My stepfather's painkillers dusty in a Ziploc baggie. I cried, please, my heart is stuck in the garbage disposal, deep, rattling around, caught with a fork. It took me 2 months to wrestle it out, shredded, moldy, and entangled with ramen. Okay, this is my last piece. It's called For Inocencia on her birthday. I wrote it for Inocencia on her birthday. Okay, goes like this. Think of tinfoil cake pan and tres leches leaks. Think candle wax drops hardened on Cool Whip, sour mouth, eye throb, and nose skimming toilet bowl. Think of damp foreheads, but also of forehead kisses. Dead lice corpses washing down our naked bodies, then circling the drain. Think of all the ways our bodies have become twin toxicities. Think of how many times we thought apocalypse. Pipes burst, door rips from hinge, pillow-muffled knife still screaming below our sleeping heads. Think shattered mirror and shattered teeth and chattering teeth. Think back to our bodies, how we grew concave around each other, pressed tight to keep heat. Think of all the nights vomit splashed outside our bedroom window, leaky condoms in the driveway. But think too of every tree we deemed our Eden, of every sidewalk square we named holy. Think again of our bodies, my spine perma-curved, toes pointing pigeon, how easily people ask what broke me and how readily you tear them apart, and I'm sorry for fearing an afterlife, the possibility of an eternal me, because now I love the forever of our together, lying on a mattress afloat on psilocybin sea, how when I say I feel empty, what I mean is this. Press an ear to the hollow of my neck and you'll hear, we've lived a life, we've lived a life, we've lived a life. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's all for our reading. Now we are opening it up for the open mic. First on our list is Vicente, James Vicente, my little brother. He's gonna read a poem for us. Woo! Okay, take it away, Chandy.
All right. So the title is Reply, but Where Are You Really From? I am from Lavender Fabuloso, from Tapatio and Marmite trash bags. I'm from the house next to the YMCA that always smells like Febreze and cat litter. I'm from the yellow rose of Texas, the cherry tree whose long gone limbs I remember as if they were my own. I'm from going to church every Sunday and Mexican chocolate and fish fries. From Elena and Jesse Ramirez. I'm from tough love and banda music and from yelling. I'm from put on your socks or you'll get a cold and be good or El Cucuy will get you. I'm from a dinosaur-shaped flashlight I named Friend and Vegan nightlights. I'm from rosaries on Christmas Eve and Las Mañanitas. I'm from the Drain, Sag Nasty, and the Big Cheese. Menudo and tamales and jarritos, from Chenny and the Kippy Woods, and no one knew what she was saying, and Uncle Paul playing Jingle Bell Rock and Wipeout on his Fender electric guitar. From Lateria, Mexican blankets, Selena, Frida, black velvet paintings, hand towels, crosses, candles, tattoos on my uncle's backs, and paintings of the Virgen de Guadalupe. All around my Lita's house, projected on the wall, draped on the couches, and the star on our Christmas tree, most importantly, in my heart. All right.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. Well, now we're going. Oh, this might be difficult. I'm on crutches. You might have to.
I can.
Just 1 second. All right. Say what you're playing.
All right. I'm just going to be playing a short part of, well, improvising over a small part of the song AM by Beach Boys.
Claps.
Chenta, that was so cool. Oh my
I
god.
loved it.
Okay. Next, Alisia has something to read, I believe. Alisia, if you wanna unmute yourself so we can hear you. Here's Alisia.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. This poem is called Blessings. To the girl who told me, you know, you should be grateful that you don't have a dad. As I see the words slither out of her mouth, I couldn't help but feel completely disgusted, as she then replied, yeah, my dad is totally annoying. He is like always checking on me, wondering where I'm at. I wish I could be as blessed as you. #blessed. Anger boiled in my blood. The only thing that could crawl out of my mouth was, I wish you could. I wish you could feel how amazing it is to never get one birthday card from a man that shares the same blood as you. Because to him, you were nothing but a good reminder of why I love you was no longer a game, and that buying rubber was more like wearing a bulletproof vest in a mass shooting, frightened but thankful to have. I wish that you could encounter Jamal's bliss to grow up without a father. His dad's new address says penitentiary written in big red letters. The reason being is that it is easier to deal with prison than to deal with his own son. See, Jamal has 2 younger brothers that he has to teach how to be a man. But how could you show someone something that you've never been taught? That's like me showing you how to fly an airplane blindfolded with no brakes on a stormy night. And that's how you officially set someone up for failure. I wish you could see Lauren's pure joy growing up feeling isolated on events like Dads with Donuts or Daddy-daughter dances, and looking in the crowd hoping to see her father long for to show up but never did. Lauren grows up mistrusting men because every man that stands before her doesn't show her any different. Instead, would rather see the beauty God created under her clothing while she dances than the beauty in her heart, and is then forever labeled the woman with daddy issues. That's why we would give anything to have our fathers worry about us, to hear their voices again, to even have our fathers glance at us and feel wanted. So I'm so sorry if I seem so ungrateful and that I can't seem to find the blessing. And that's pretty much what I had, all I had right now.
So much for reading.
That was so great, Alisia. Thank you so much.
We miss you.
We miss you so much.
Miss you guys too. Sending love from Texas.
Okay. Do we have anybody else here that would like to perform anything? We can say anything in the chat maybe, or you could just like unmute yourself and go. We're gonna like count to if somebody doesn't say something in the next minute, then we're probably like done. But yeah, thank you so much to Alisia and Chenta for poetry and music. Thank you all of you guys for showing up.
But make sure that you tell everyone you know who would like wanna submit their work. We are having our submissions. We want to have another issue done by the summer. So make sure you let everyone know. get the word around for the Lenawee County.
We are accepting, yes, words, art by Lenawee County Youth. Chente submitted a poem. If you know people in the area or people with kids or educators in the area, let them know. Yeah, and then also check out our website, check out all of our social media stuff. Donate if you can. All of our proceeds go to Lenawee charities. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Have a good rest of your night. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Be well. We love you. We're very, very thankful for you. Yeah. Night.